The idea, all right, I'm gonna back up where I always do. I consider it gift art. From my perspective, they're gifts. They're not free things. So the idea grew very organically. The name Everyman came from this idea of this artwork being art for all. I mean, I really thought of it as these pieces being for anyone and everyone that came across them. I had done a three-dimensional piece, a sculptural piece, and this is the drawing that I had done for that piece. And at some point, my son had come down and wanted to cut stencils. He said, I want to know how to cut a stencil. And we looked around the shop thinking, what would make a nice stencil? And I saw the drawing of the little face. And I said, oh, that'll make a nice stencil. Let's do that. I didn't have anything in mind other than just having some fun with my son. So it was all very organic how it happened. I had no idea what this would turn into. The name Free Art Friday came from across the pond, England. My dog Size had coined that term. And I'm not sure exactly when this person started doing it there, but I think it was pretty close in time that we were doing this very similar thing, unbeknownst to one another. I wanted to get the idea across that it's not just about taking, but it's about giving. By inviting people into the shop to help me make the pieces, I could show them my process, you know, this is how I do it, this is what I do. And then the people, we would kind of share the pieces. People that came and made them, they would take them and put them around. I would keep some to put around. Saw it so many times that the light bulb would kind of go off in someone's head, oh, I can do this too.
We were eating at Bennett's Deli in Grant Park, and we saw Queen Bee drop like literally right in front of the deli, and we weren't trying to find art, we were like, what is she doing? And we saw her drop a little piece, and then she was taking a picture of it, and then next thing we know it was posting, and we thought, we have to go get it. So ran out, and that was our first piece, and that was our first introduction as well. I only knew of certain artists that were really big, and then what I started doing is looking at kind of some of the comments, who liked their stuff, what stuff they were liking, and it started expanding kind of my thought of FAFATL, because I thought it was so small, and then I started going, oh my goodness, this is much bigger than I thought. I started monitoring Twitter, and I started putting, alerts so when the artist would post, and then I thought, do I need a strategy around this? Am I just trying to get whatever? And I was actually trying to get certain artists, and it started out that way. But it started like literally the next day. You get inspired by the things that you're seeing, and the people are so positive and encouraging, so you're kind of afraid at first. You want to do it. I mean, I think everybody's an artist, right? I mean, we all have something in us that's creative, and I think the reason that we don't call ourselves artists or we're afraid to do it is because we're afraid of being vulnerable or being judged or getting criticism. And this environment just completely, it just shatters all of those fears. And so it's so welcoming and so positive. So I was like, I want to do it because of that. So people are supportive, so I'm not afraid anymore. But then also because I was taking, I felt like I kept hunting and I was finding all this art everywhere, and I'm starting to go, well, I want to give back. When you look at people like Catlanta and Squishy Puss and Everyman and some of the big ones that have really taken it to the next level, you look at that and you go, wow, that's an inspiration. They're doing what they love for a living, and that's really powerful. But then you have people that love their jobs and do art as a hobby, and like I said, to be encouraged. I mean, I'm looking around the room. That's why I have it all hanging, because it encourages, and it's like, well, if they can do it, then I can do it too. This is one of the, similar to what I made, the first one. So you can kind of see how big it is, and it's a little bit clunky and it's just not as nice as the ones that I do now. So it's kind of like how you get better at your craft or your art. There's an irony in the bullets being words of inspiration. So there's a lot of negative connotations with guns and violence. And so it's like, part of it is just kind of the irony of just hope and peace and love through bullets. But the other thing is it's just really tactile, and I like metal and I like brass. And so there's that piece. But I dropped, my first one was like that, and I dropped it over in East Atlanta Village. I remember because it got picked up in like 10 minutes, and it was like, I was just so excited. I wanted to get back here and make like 100 more. I have a hashtag, FAFATL changed my life, and I am very serious about that. It's changed the way that I look at just the city. It's changed the way that I look at myself, my friends, and it's meant a lot to me personally.
A friend of mine told me about the free art movement and said that it's really fun, that I would like to do it. I told my friend that I'll try it. I started getting a lot of responses of how people were so excited and overwhelmed to find a piece of my art, and I said, well, I'm just going to keep doing it. Sad Stuff's always been something that has been fun to watch. Something so sad make people that find it so happy. I prefer to remain anonymous with my artwork because I want it to stand on its own. I just want people to like it because of what it is, not because of who did it or who is doing it. When I hit 100 followers on Instagram, I knew I couldn't stop. That made me keep making and fueled the stove. It fueled, it didn't run on gas, it didn't run on electric, it started running on how much people wanted it, and so I said, well, I gotta keep making more. I gotta make if you're gonna take, When you make a drop and you leave it there, it's fun to watch the excitement when someone finds it. It's also sometimes entertaining to watch how many people show up. You'll see foot races, you'll see 2 people get there at the same time and another person congratulate the other person to getting there first. When I first started putting art out, I remained anonymous for maybe a year or so. I just wanted to put things out and kind of be mysterious. When I found out that Everyman was having a production party, I felt like I had to go.
Free Art Friday kind of came along at a time when I was reclaiming my artistic self again. It's made a huge difference in how I feel about the city and feeling much more connected to it. Following the hashtag and hearing about like a production party at somebody's place, and just such a welcoming group of people that just blew me away. There's this conversion factor. I've met several people who used to just collect, and it got them into making art. It gets people giving, it gets people feeling encouraged about their own creativity.
Like after hunting for a while, you feel like you gotta give back, and so we started making art.
I love the collaboration piece because a huge part of the free art movement is collaboration.
It's just like you're helping build the community, and then you see other people trying to come in, and you're like, yes, come in, come join us, come have fun.
The Atlanta art community is very inclusive and supportive. It doesn't seem to be as competitive. It seems to be a very big collective. And I think the Atlanta art scene has really just blossomed in the last few decades. And I think the city really has embraced the Free Art Friday community. It's all about positivity and lighthearted fun. And so I think, how could you say no to that in your city?
I have to believe it'll keep on going of its own inertia. I mean, it's way out of my hands at this point, right? I mean, it's got a life of its own.